Hey, it's Rob from Wheelworks Bike Shop in Dublin. Raining outside today, so we're not outside unpacking the cool new paint jobs in the sun, unfortunately. It does rain in Dublin occasionally, contrary to what it might look like on Instagram when every single photograph I'm putting up has the sun shining. We wait for the sun to shine and we go out and take all the pictures. Anyway, today we have a really cool speed concept. I would say that this is the only one in the country. I'd be pretty confident it's the only one in the country. One of very few, I'd say, anywhere in the world. There's not a whole lot of these around, unless you're a pro athlete and you ride for Trek. So it's a pretty rare paint job. This is the official colour that all the Trek athletes rode in the Paris Olympics. From the mountain bike to the triathlon to road, time trial. So all the road pros, time trialists all rode it. The Little Trek pro riders were on it. Longo Borghini, Tom Squinch, all those guys. Evie Richards was on the mountain bike. Alex Yee obviously won the Olympic road race. So this has matching seat post and matching base bar because that's the way they do a lot of the custom colours in Project 1 for a speed concept. So I'm presuming it's a matching base bar. Yeah, this is going to be really nice. This one is a small. If you're a little person looking for a very fancy speed concept, this is available for sale. We ordered this for stock, so it hasn't been sold yet because it's only coming out of the box. And if you want, you can also get a matching Madone. So if you're a small person looking for two new bikes for next season, Jesus, that's a really incredible paint finish on that. We did this on the low base bar. The base bar comes in three different heights, low, medium and high. So the low is flat, mid rise is medium, and then the high rise obviously is higher. That's really, really cool. Get in close on that, Chad, and have a look at the way the colour changes on the. So you've got lavender, which I think was the Olympic colour, and you got blue and pink. That's really, really nice. The speed concept and the outgoing Madone would have been my two favourite models for custom one paints because they're like a big canvas, you know, big down tube, big seat tube. The new Gen 8 Madone, while it's my current favourite road bike to ride, it doesn't have as much room for paint, so it's not quite as spectacular looking. But I suppose it's the way all new things go when you see them first, like BMW with those massive grills, and you see them at the start and you sort of going, oh man, they're very ugly. And then a year later you see an old BMW with a little small grill and you think, oh, that's a really small grill, it looks funny. With the Gen 7 Madone, which would have been my favourite, I think the most beautiful bike I'd ever seen in terms of road bikes. I just love it. And now I see a Gen 7 beside a Gen 8 and it sort of looks a bit chubby, like it needs to lose a bit of weight. That's probably not going to be a very popular opinion. There's a real divide over people who like it and don't like it, but that happened with the previous generation too. The previous generation, before they did that hole in the seat tube, there was a real reaction to people in store, and we did an online poll not long after the Gen 7 was launched to see what people thought of the Gen 6 and the Gen 7, and it was about 70% of people wanted a Gen 6, that they didn't like the Gen 7, so 70 to 30. And we did the same thing about 6 months later, and it was completely flipped. It was almost 80-20. And then it got to a stage where the Gen 6, they really don't sell that much at all anymore. So I suppose you get used to the way things look. Fashion's like that, isn't it? Skinny jeans and flares. Quite a random conversation to be having when I'm unpacking a bike, but if you're doing 4 unboxings in a day or 5 or 6, then you can't keep on saying the same thing over and over again. So it's probably going to go off topic at some stage. Okay, so this is an SLR7. SLR7 Shimano Ultegra group set. Bontrager Aeolus Pro 51 wheels. The paint is an upgrade on this one. It's not a standard option, as most of the Project 1 bikes that we do are. They're not a standard option. This is one of the Icon paint jobs, so it's one of the more expensive ones. But it's really spectacular. That'll be quite a cool display, having the two of them side by side. This is a small, and the Madone, which is also an SLR7, I think. They're both Ultegra. That's an extra small. So, like I said, if you're smaller in stature and you want something that's completely unique, and you do road and triathlon and you want to change your bikes for next year, you would probably be one of the few people in the world with matching road and TT bikes in the Paris Olympic colours. Let me know what you think of the colour, the paint, or if you've questions, stick it in the comments. Like and share and subscribe and all that sort of rubbish.
So they come with tubes originally?
Yes, they do. That's a good question. So they come with tubes as standard. I suppose not all triathletes are comfortable with tubeless. Some of them are still riding tubes. So if you're riding a really high-end tire with a latex tube, that's pretty much as quick as tubeless. The benefits with tubeless, I suppose, the obvious one is that you've got sealant. So the way it works is you don't have a tube inside. The tire fits directly to the rim and it seals, and there's a liquid sealant sloshes around in there, a small amount of it. And if you get a small puncture, the sealant will fill that hole and it dries. It's latex typically, and when it hits the outside air, it sort of dries and it seals it. And that's just about the fastest setup. Is a really high-end road tire with tubeless. It's a little bit lighter, lower rolling resistance. If you're not comfortable with the tubeless idea, then you can run a high-end tire, lightweight tubes or latex tubes, and you're going to get pretty low rolling resistance. If you do, so for anyone that was watching the Ironman World Championships in Nice at the weekend, one of the favourites, Annie Haug, had a puncture with tubeless, but she had a cut in her tire. So she tried to put the tube in and it was bulging out through the cut. So in that case, it doesn't matter whether you've got tubes or tubeless. If you've got a complete cut in the tire, it's potentially game over, and it certainly was for her at the weekend. She was pulled out in the first couple of K on the bike. So you can put a tube into a tubeless setup if you get a cut in your tire, as long as the cut isn't too big that the tube bulges out and punctures again. But I ride tubeless now on pretty much all the bikes. It's gotten a lot easier to use. You've got the comfort of knowing that if you get a puncture, it's going to seal 9 times out of 10. And when we're riding gravel, there was a ride I did last year, and I punctured 3 times in an hour, and I could hear it hissing, and I could see sealant spraying, and it sealed in a couple of seconds. I didn't stop, kept on riding. So it's definitely the tubeless setup is now good enough that I think it's the way to go for pretty much everybody. Anyway, back to the bike. So it's the Paris edition. You get some close-ups of it. Really nice finish on the paint. Almost like the chrome ones. Not quite, but almost. We'll get that into the workshop, get it finished.
That's a savage colour.
And we'll get it out on the floor and get some more photos and videos in the sun when it stops raining. Okay.